Welcome to episode 33 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of Cork City Football Club. And this week we talk to the voice of Turner's Cross. Yeah, back for another episode, joined as always by Mr. Howey. How are you?
Not too bad, Stephen. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. No, how was the comedy night?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, it's nice to have something to do with no football coming on.
Yeah.
There's something to keep you occupied. But no, it was brilliant. I think everyone that was there thoroughly enjoyed it. I know the comedians enjoyed it. I was talking to them afterwards. I've spoken to Andrew a few times since. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Great turnout as well.
I got tied up. I was dressed up like Harry Potter because it was graduations in the college. So we had to kind of be in attendance for all the fantastic students. And I'm sure there was students across both colleges this week all graduated. So it was a mad week.
I thought you meant you were all dressed up for Halloween. You were out trick-or-treating. No?
I could have. I actually thought I could have rocked up on knocking on a few houses.
That's one thing we kind of had a bit on comments coming in and stuff that like, I'd love to go, but Halloween and to bring the kids trick-or-treating, which, look, that's fair enough. That's fine.
But it was a good night.
It was a brilliant night. Yeah, everyone was brilliant. We said before the comedians we had were Andrew Ryan sort of hosted it. John Calleary came out. Didn't realise he's actually a big Sligo Rovers fan, goes to a lot of Sligo Rovers games. Actually took part in their walking football, he said, which is funny. Then Emma Doran was on, she was brilliant. Shane Todd then went on, absolutely class. I spoke to him afterwards, actually. We have a couple of ideas of stuff with him over the next couple of months, but he had just had Patrice Ever on his own podcast. He has a podcast as well, which is brilliant. And he really enjoyed it. He proud owner of a couple of Cork City jerseys now as well, so he's delighted with them. And then Chris Kent closed the show, and he was absolutely hilarious as well. So it was everyone. I spoke to people afterwards. Everyone enjoyed it. They all enjoyed it, and there was really good comments on it online, which was exactly what we wanted. Great fundraiser for our academy teams and our women's teams.
And we kind of have another one coming up. So next week
we do on the 16th. Yeah. It's our 40th anniversary celebration night. So that's at the Clayton in Lapskey. €99 per head. You fit 10 at a table. So if you want to buy a table, you're more than welcome to do that as well.
But if you buy 2 tickets, I presume they'll throw you in with somebody else.
Yeah. Like you're not segregating your own. Yeah. But no, that's going to be a really good night as well. It's a 3-course meal. The Frank and Walters are playing at it. Yeah. We're going to be giving out the Player of the Year awards and stuff like that. So it's going to be really fun, a nice way to sort of, bookend the season. Ties in nicely with the 40th anniversary of the club as well. So.
And what's the dress code?
Yeah, not too fancy. We've had a couple of people asking. It's not black tie or anything like that. Just smart casual. But it'll be a fun night. I think people are looking forward to it.
So kind of like a wedding attire, kind of. Not full on, but like a pants shirt kind of.
Don't show up in a tracksuit.
Don't be turning up in a tracksuit.
As lovely as your Cork City tracksuits are. Yeah. Maybe don't wear them.
Yeah.
But no, that'll be a good night. I think there's a bit of interest in that. As we said, the Player of the Year awards is a big thing as well. I'm working on the graphics and the voting system and stuff for that at the minute, so that'll be out over the next couple of days hopefully. But if you want to buy tickets for that, they're up on the website, corkcityfc.ie/40th.
Yeah, and I'd imagine it's important to get them in advance, because I'd imagine a hotel will need to know who needs how many are coming for food and all that kind of stuff, and
don't leave it to
the tables. Don't be doing it the day of it anyway.
Yeah, you're not showing up and paying at the door. It's not that sort of thing.
Give a few days notice on this one.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to tell us in advance. So if you are planning on coming, tickets are available. You can get in touch with the club, or you can just straight up buy a ticket on the website.
There'll be no red carpet or something going in, or live at the red carpet or anything like that.
Maybe, I don't know. If we can get our hands on a red carpet and a photographer,
maybe the carpet is already red. I don't know.
No problem. It could be. Yeah. Look, if
I
it
know
is,
there's a little bridge in the Clarion. Or
there is. Yeah.
Like it's you could do a kind of a live shoot.
Look, I'll take a few pictures anyway. It'll be
I'm imagining the Ballon d'Or, the.
Oh yeah, like the advertising boards and everything for people to stop and pose. I don't think we're quite there, but.
Yeah.
I don't know, never say never.
Are we giving people
We're not having a red carpet. People would be disappointed now when there's no red carpet.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun night.
It'll be a good night.
It'll be a good night.
Yeah, it'll be a good night. And you know what? It's a month after the league is finished as well. So it's a good night to kind of catch up, and it brings the off season or the start of the next season a bit closer as well.
Yeah, it breaks up the whole 3-4 month off period, whatever it is. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But speaking of fans, we kind of have a mix of a fan and someone involved in the club this week. So we've kind of went down a different route. Not a player. We decided to bring in the voice of Turner's Cross.
Yeah, like we spoke about it before. It's the whole point of this podcast. It's great to have the players on and the staff or whatever, but there are a lot of other people, be it people working in the background or supporters, volunteers, whatever it is, who have a lot of stories to tell over their years at the club. And I think no one has more than Colm from what he's seen over the last couple of years. So we wanted him in for a while, and today's the day we got him. So I think this will be a really good one.
Yeah, we might as well bring him in. Welcome to the podcast, Colm.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me, lads.
We've kind of reverse roles today. Usually you're on the other side. Over the years, you ask me a few questions. Now I'm asking you questions.
Normally, you see, this is kind of out of my comfort zone now. Normally, I'm the one sitting on the other side of the mic and asking the questions and thinking of what to ask next. So that's your job today, and I'll just sit here and relax, I think.
So your usual job is the voice of Turner's Cross, really. So anyone listening, they're probably saying, that fella's voice is familiar to me. But they'll also know you from Red FM as well. So were you always a Cork City fan before you got into the media business?
Yeah, always a City fan. So I suppose I'm a City fan going back to, they're back really to the mid-90s kind of thing.
Yeah.
My dad used to bring me to games kind of here and there when we were growing up. And then how I really got into it is my uncle used to do the programs at one stage, Sean. And when he was looking after the programs, I was selling programs for him when I was about, I think I was in first year in school, so I didn't know, about 12 or 13. Yeah, just on the old steps coming into Turner's Cross, you know. The old steps are still there behind the stand, but would have been coming up to the side of the shed then, you know what I mean? And you have the crowd streaming in. So we were selling programs. There was a few of us at the time. Robbie Kelleher was doing it at the time as well. And there was a few probably people who now be older and actually involved in the club. So we were doing that at the time. That was about 97, I'd say.
Dave Barry era. So.
Yeah. I'd say it was the first season back at the Cross, and I think was that the year Colin O'Brien got the header at the end of the season and qualified for Europe and the Intertoto Cup and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And then the following year was the 98 year and the cup final.
The famous
and then the cup final was something I think that really kind of, like, I was already well into it, but the cup final was something that really got me gripped into it then, you know, that 98 cup final.
I think a lot of us were in the same boat,
Derek Collins' header into the
replay.
It was that was just magical. Like the old terrace in Dalymount Park, and I remember Derek scoring the goal. We were just kind of over in the corner, looking down, and Derek got the header into the back of the net. Kelvin Flanagan's cross, and the surge of the crowd down, and you were like, "This is unbelievable! This is unreal! Like, I love this!" And haven't looked back since.
So, like when you got into the whole idea of media, was it always to be a sports journalist, or like what in your mind, like, did you try to merge the two loves together, kind of like as such? Like?
Yeah, I suppose there was a bit of that, definitely. Like, I mean, it kind of worked out well, the whole City and Cork City thing, really, you know, because there was always a good connection when I was in Red FM, and I was kind of involved bits with City even before I was in Red FM. I think I first made my first foray to Red FM, doing part-time little sports bits in about 2007 maybe or something, you know. Around that time, and Rory had been there just a couple of years before me as well, and we were doing bits with Cork City in those days then straight away. And
so did your participation with the club evolve, or did you just become a fan like after the end of the 90s? Like, what happened?
No, that's what I was saying. I was a fan before the Red FM time, like long before Red FM. I was off going to European games all over the place and everything. I was only thinking, and I was saying this to one of the lads a couple of weeks ago, 20 years ago, we were in Malmo. That's kind of hard to believe, like, it's 20 years, like, and like, that was a great trip. That was my first European trip, and actually went on 3 European trips that year. So we had Malmo, we had Nijmegen was the second one in Holland, and Nantes, and they were great trips. We went, the Malmo one was the first one, and there was a whole gang of us, and Ian Sheehan ran a bus up on the whatever the night was. We were flying out of Dublin, and there was 40, 50 people on the bus through the night, and we flew out of Dublin airport, flew over to Malmo, stayed in Malmo, and there wasn't much happening in Malmo the night before the game, you know. I think we found some old karaoke bar or something, but there wasn't a whole lot going on. So what we did is we jumped on a train back across to Copenhagen and went out in Copenhagen that night, and I think the next night was the night of the match then, and so that was brilliant as well. I mean, Liam Carney, we were, was it 3-1 up from the first leg, I think?
Yeah.
And Liam Carney got the winner then, 1-0 away. So that was unbelievable. And then the next week was Nijmegen. And I think I was only working part-time in an off license at the time. And I was in college as well in UCC, you know. you'd be scraping your pennies together. And I actually had put a few quid on City to beat Malmo in Ladbrokes, whatever odds we got. So that paid for me to go for my flights to go to Nijmegen the next week.
Yeah, because it's not cheap to go to those unusual destinations.
Not at all, especially when you're a student and you're working part-time. And so we went over the following weekend. They were back-to-back weeks in the Intertoto Cup. So it was literally, we were back from Malmo. They were weekend games. Probably flew back from Malmo on the Sunday and we were playing Nijmegen away the next Saturday. So it was a quick turnaround. So we literally, I think we were in and out in less than 24 hours. It was literally, we flew to Charleroi in Belgium. One of the lads hired a car, drove to Nijmegen, went to the game, went for a few pints before the game, went to the game, 0-0. They had a lovely stadium at the time. Johan Niskens was the manager who just passed away a few weeks ago. And then it was literally back in the car, stopping at McDonald's and head back to Charleroi Airport for an early morning flight again. Oh. So I couldn't do it now, Steve, to be honest. Like, but
but it's things like that you do as a young fella,
And then we had not a few weeks later, which was the end of that year. But it was great. Like, and again, all those things, like,
it's why there's such a love for Pat Dolan, I'd imagine, is it?
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
The thrill of that European run. It was a bit of a novelty in many ways for the club at the time. Like,
it was, and I think a lot of people who were kind of would have been my age or kind of in those days, kind of like I was kind of just in my late teens or whatever. Like, but and kind of people in their early 20s and so on. Kind of that era when Pat Dolan was the manager, and then Rico the following year as well. But like Dolan kind of got it all going, and he brought in loads of those players, Kevin Doyle and these kind of guys, and I suppose Georgie Flynn. He actually had been there before him with Liam Murphy as well.
That's right, yeah.
And then you had the European games, and like it was just something magical in those days, you know. Like, and like I'd imagine people who were the same age a couple of years ago when John Caulfield was winning the leagues and the cups and the European games, they'd have the same thing, you know.
They're the ones that are probably hyped up about Shawnee coming back a lot. Like, you know, it did have the same. Yeah. You could see actually it was similar when George and stuff like that went away and then came back. Around the end or the start of the 2008 season, there was a huge kind of crowd came back to the Cross all of a sudden because 4 years previously there was a European run or whatever, and like the hype was all there with it. Like,
it was, the hype was all there with it then, because like I think these guys were legends from kind of 2003, 2004, 2005. That That's time right, kind of obviously won the league in 2005 as well, and then there was more European trips in 2005. I'm trying to think where did we go in 2005?
Did you go to Cyprus?
No, that was 06. We went in 05. It would have been.
Was it Slavia Prague or somewhere like that?
It was. Yeah. So there was Djurgårdens in Sweden, in Stockholm. Right. I was at that one as well. And then we were at Slavia Prague. That's right. And Slavia Prague was a big one.
Yeah.
And Rico was the manager then, but he actually missed the game. He was in hospital. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. Vaguely. I remember
he
that
missed the away game. So Dave Hill was the manager for that one.
Actually, Dave was a legend in himself.
Legend as well, exactly. And he'd have been part of that 98 cup winning team I was talking about earlier as well. And I think we brought something like 900 fans to Slavia Prague, and like the city in Prague was like taken over with Cork people everywhere you look. So I mean, it was amazing in those days, the crowds that travelled, and we had a bit of that again in recent years. Then going to like the likes of places like, I remember being in Rosenborg and in over in Poland in Warsaw for Legia Warsaw and all those kind of ones as well in John Caulfield's time. Like, so I think the European trips are magical. So I think are we aiming to get back there next year, lads?
So that's hopefully that would be the plan. Like, yeah. And when I hear you telling all those stories, I'm quite jealous because I never went to the away ones. No, I don't know why. And like different life circumstances at the time or whatever. I think
exactly.
Work and all that. Like,
well, it was easy for me to do them in 2004 and 05 when you're in college and stuff. You know what I mean? It's a bit more difficult, but like I'd have gone to the more recent ones then in a work capacity.
Yes.
And I'd have flown on the team flight and all that kind of thing, which was great as well. Like, and you can be over there in the work capacity and doing your work bits and still have the crack as well, I mean, you'd still have the nights out and stuff as well with the fans. And they were brilliant. Like, I think Warsaw was a great trip as well, because I think we had a good crowd over there. I can't remember how many we brought over now a few years ago, but we had a good crowd in Warsaw as well. But and
it always helps when there's a direct flight probably from Cork or somewhere like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know Lee Travel kind of over the years they chartered a couple of flights back in the day as well.
That was going on for years. Lee Travel with the charter flights, and a lot of people would go on them, but a lot of people would make their own way then again. And people used to be going planes, trains, automobiles all over the place. Like you'd be flying to places miles away from the destination and hiring cars and jumping on trains and it's great to see that what people actually go to get to the games as well, isn't it?
And it's the magic of being a League of Ireland club, I suppose, is that we do have the opportunity to go to Europe, whereas I was talking to some of the players about this, if you're a lower club in England, they never get a chance.
They never
Because
get a
even
chance.
clubs in the Premier League would never get a chance in Europe. Whereas
No.
Irish clubs, there's what, 4 every year at least.
Like you even see Villa in the Champions League this year, and that's a novelty for their fans, I reckon, because they don't qualify for Europe much over the years in recent times. Obviously, they won European Cups years ago and so on, like, but in most of the fans' lifetimes, they wouldn't have done anything. Like, and that's the way for any club out of the top kind of 7 or 8 in England, probably, really, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I notice Irish clubs haven't been abroad either.
There isn't, and sure, we haven't for a few years now either. We're hoping to rectify that.
So when did the whole media thing come about then? So like you were going to college. If you were in UCC, you weren't studying media.
I wasn't. I was studying economics.
Oh, that's a big difference.
And sociology, there were my two. But I was doing the UCC campus radio.
Oh, okay. A lot came through that.
Yeah, a lot came through that. Rory would have done that years ago as well. And a lot of people who've been through radio in Cork and so on would have done that. I think it was in the older days, it would have been in Trevor Welch's time and Neil Prendeville's time and all these guys. It was the pirate radio, South Coast Radio and all that kind of thing, which like Trevor would tell you these stories. Like there's legendary stories out of them, and Neil would tell you the stories. And like, I mean, they had great times running around doing the pirate radio, but I think they were gone in my time. And it was the UCC campus radio. It was the old studio at the time, which was up in the at the top floor of the student centre in UCC. Do you know what? It was up there at the time. Now they have a beautiful new studio down kind of just down beyond the quad there, and it's a beautiful setup. I was only in looking at it last year actually, but it was Kieran Hurley was running it at the time, and I was doing bits every week for him. I was doing a sports show on a Tuesday, and I used to do a music show then on a Thursday or a Friday as well. So kind of covering both bases there, you know. I still do bits of both of the kind of thing. So that was kind of my route into it. And then, you know, it was actually Kieran said it to me. He said, like, you're sounding very good there. Why don't you send something into Red FM? And so then I started doing part-time things in Red FM.
And they were a fairly new station at the time.
They
were,
I mean, they
started
Red FM,
around 2002, I think.
2002, spot on. It was January 2002, Red FM started. So they'd have been a very new station at the time. Again, that was like, they were only 4 or 5 years old at the time, probably, like, you know. And so how I started then was kind of doing part-time bits with Red FM, kind of just like literally little things like going out, doing an old interview or
a vox pop on the street type of thing.
Or a match report at some local GA match or
for the Big Red Bench or something.
Yeah, for that kind of thing.
And Trevor Welch would have been doing that at the time.
Trevor was the host at the time, like so would have been in with Trevor and so on, and then gradually, you know, you do more and more and more and work your way up.
Yeah.
And then I was doing kind of full-time sports stuff for a good while in Red, and doing bits of the kind of music stuff like I do full-time now as well. And then I was there for a good few years. Then I left Red.
You went to Limerick, was it?
I did. I was offered the breakfast show on Spin Southwest up in Limerick.
A big opportunity for you, yeah.
So I took the breakfast show on Spin.
And did you move to Limerick or were you commuting?
No, I was going to get there now. So I used to be driving from Limerick to Cork, which now looking back in it, at the age I am now, seems like madness.
Yeah.
Every morning, because the show used to start at 7 a.m. So you'd be hitting the road at 4 or 5 o'clock some mornings, like, you know. And
the old conditions on the Limerick Road wouldn't be the best road in the world.
No,
like,
it was a grand drive in the summertime, but in the depths of winter, it was not a good one to do. Looking back now, you're kind of going, why didn't I move to Limerick? But like, if you can live in Cork or Limerick, lads, what are you going to do, you know?
Yeah.
So, I was there then for about 3.5, 4 years.
Were we there that long?
Yeah, about 3.5 years, I'd say, doing that. And then...
And we still coming to Cross and all that period of time?
I was, I was.
Friday nights, but just as a fan?
Just as a fan in those days, yeah. And I was there every Friday night pretty much. That would have been kind of the time when it would have been the early days of Forest, I suppose. And it would have been kind of first division time, Tommy Dunn, that kind of time. And then about 10 years ago, Red FM got back onto me to come back. So back I went, and I'm there ever since then. And
your role with Red has kind of evolved. So I would have said, because obviously we work together on Red FM.
Yeah. And you know all about it, like,
But you were like the super sub.
Yeah, exactly.
You literally could be on breakfast one day, you could be on the drive the next.
I was Oleg on our Solskjaer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a Cork City equivalent.
I know, yeah.
Maybe the fans could send in something there. Yeah. Who do you think was the best sub of all time?
Who was Cork City's super sub lads over the years? That's one there now. That's a poll for you, Aaron, there. Campion.
yeah,
There you
good
go.
one, yeah,
Campion
yeah,
in the cup final. Yeah, you're not going to beat that, really, are you?
Once, I think Kieran Sadler did a very good the season that we won the double. I think he was a good super sub.
He
that
was
year.
actually. He was coming on a lot of games that year, yeah.
But so the modern day version is your man John Duran for Aston Villa.
John Duran, yeah. He's
so
flying it at the moment, yeah.
So you were kind of playing that role.
I was, yeah. I was doing that for a good few years,
But you would have always then had your weekend shows. Then they were the fixed type of.
Yeah, so I was doing the Saturday morning show I was doing that till 2 years ago now, you know.
Yeah. And you'd always kind of be able to talk about the City match.
Yeah.
So it kind of gave you a nice little excuse to talk about the City match.
Absolutely, because the show I used to do those days kind of up until 2 years ago really was 10 to 2 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
That was my regular show. And then as you say, I could be on any show during the week. I could be doing the drive time show like I do full time now. I could be doing the breakfast show. I could be doing the afternoon show. Yeah. I could be out doing bits for Neil's show. I could be doing
the nighttime show or whatever.
Anything.
After 7,
anything, you know, like, so I was jumping around the place.
And
like,
lots of outside broadcasts and all that kind of thing. So you were, in many ways, you were like the face of the station as well, because you were doing so many of the kind of roadshow type of things.
Yeah, and a lot of the kind of, we'd be out doing videos and road shows and that kind of thing as well. Like, so, and they're all great. Like, and I like, even though I'm full time on the daytime show now on 4 to 7 every evening on the drive time. Yeah. The home run. Tune into that, lads. And
you must be speaking of run, you must be running to the cross after the game, yeah? On Friday, how'd you manage to get from 7 o'clock to?
There's a sneaky trick there, like, you know.
We know Stevie plays that role too over the years.
I know,
Stevie could be at the cross and be on the radio at the same time.
Sometimes I'd be at the cross at 7:05 and I don't get from Red FM to turn his cross for 7:05. But you might be listening to a pre-recorded slot there from about 20 to 7 to about 7 o'clock, you know.
But sure, they're in the ground
that's only
already.
the odd time, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's all live always, other than that. But as I said, like, I still do a lot of outside stuff as well. Then earlier in the day, like next week now, we're doing a couple of things for the launch in Boots, the new Boots in town. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll be coming out to Red FM to do my show in the evening afterwards. So because I actually like doing the outside stuff, and that's why I love doing the stuff with City at the Cross and things.
You get to meet people.
You get to meet people, and like even doing the announcing at the Cross, like you meet loads of people, and it's a great social thing, because I'd be at the Cross anyway every Friday. Yeah. Even if I wasn't the stadium announcer, I'd be there every week, like, you know.
And when did the stadium announcing piece start? Who asked you to kind of, would you step into that role?
So I actually did that years ago, briefly, for maybe a season or two, going back before I went to Spin.
Oh, did you?
When Red FM had it before.
Because Red were the media partners.
And I might have overlapped when you were there slightly. Yeah. Around that time, or maybe slightly after, I don't know, maybe.
I know we brought it back in after the double. You know, we jinxed this crowd a lot. So I remember getting the deal done or whatever, and we came back in as media partners.
Yeah, we did years ago. I was doing it briefly, and then all the shit happened, and you had the all the stuff in the club and the High Court and all that, and there was all changes, and then kind of there wasn't much happening for a season or two, and then 96FM came in for a couple of years, as you remember. Yeah.
So I think one of their lads, Ken Tobin or someone, did that.
Because Ken Perrott was doing it, and I think
Ken Perrott.
Ken Perrott was doing it. I think Darren might have been doing it a bit, and there was a few different lads doing it anyway, you know.
And then we took over, I think, Red.
Because you were in Red doing marketing at the time. Yeah. Just to give context to things, you were the marketing manager in Red FM at the time as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And I would have obviously been there.
So there was a few City fans on the inside.
There was a few of us, myself, yourself, and Rory, and a few more of us trying to push things over the line. But you're right, it was after the 2017 double, so...
And we brought back the crossbar challenge then as well.
Yeah, we did, because I remember we were having meetings about that. So that would have been 2018, I came back in a stadium announcer then, so that would have been...
So you've been probably doing it since
the last 7 seasons now, yeah. So I probably, if you add up the ones the year before, I've probably done it for about 10 seasons. Yeah. Yeah. But it's enjoyable, like, I mean, you miss the odd game, but you're there every game, and there's a good buzz, and... Do you know, like, I was saying this, I was sitting next to Robbie up in the box. I was at A&F a few weeks ago. I think I need to get my eyes tested, because, do you know, you're announcing the subs, right?
I think I remember this one.
Yeah, you're announcing the subs. And I used to always be able to see, now, up until a couple of years ago, the sub boards used to be straight down below you.
That's right, yeah.
And they were on the Donny forward. Now they're on the far side. But I was always able to see the board, no problem. And now, sometimes if a certain number pops up, whoever's next to you, it could be A and an O, or it could even be Robbie or whoever, you're going, have a look at that there. And am I right there? And most times we'd be right, but you get it wrong. And I'm sure I called out the wrong one some night, but I can't even remember. Like, but I better go to Specsavers and check that out for next season anyway, lads.
I think there was one or two all right. And I'm saying, I'm sure he called out the wrong number there. I was looking like,
we blame the eyesight, or we'll just blame Anna next to me. I think we say Anna told me the wrong one.
Blame the MFA because they moved
the thing for fuck's sake.
They dug out off to the other side.
There was no need for that either.
Very unfair on the commentators.
Yeah, it is. It was grand where it was. We'll have to have a word at the MFA about that.
And usually, actually, in most matches, the commentary team are usually behind the dugouts.
You would be, you'd be above the dugouts. Yeah, you
so
would.
That you can see right down. Even in the Aviva, if you look at it, they're always just behind.
Always just behind,
down,
because you're literally relying on, like, it's not like, I'm sure in Old Trafford or somewhere you fellas, you're told the subs beforehand and things, but like you're literally doing it on the spur of the moment, like, so you have to be on the ball, like if you're looking at your phone or you're looking over there chatting to someone or you're watching something over there, you could miss one, but you have to have your eye on the ball the whole time, basically, like, you know. And
so you get a lot of requests then on match night. Then do people come up to you, or like do they get sent in, or how does it work?
Loads of different ways, right? So and I'm sure we get loads now for next season out of this. So we've like you've people come up to you on match night. You could have people, and I think there's there's always a thing on match night where you have like you do a few.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden at half time, you have 3 or 4 people coming up to you saying, oh, can you say hello to happy birthday to my young fella there, Kean, or whatever, you know, and there's loads of that. Like you have mums and dads coming up to you and asking for, or you might have, sometimes you have like a stag who are over from the UK or something and give them a shout out, which is great as well. But usually like you'd have some coming through the club. So I get like a match night notes sheet off Anna every weekend or every Friday. And you'd have a few on that then, just happy birthdays or, you know, a shout out to whoever's home from America or that kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a few would come into the station to Red FM
because they know you're going to be out.
They know I'm going to be out there. Yeah. So they'll be passed on to me then. And then I get a good few just sent to me on my own Instagram as well. So it's a mix of all sorts of things, like, you know.
Any unusual ones?
No, I'm trying to think. No, they're all fairly straightforward.
Any marriage proposals or anything like that over the years?
I've had a few marriage proposals, but not at the Cross.
Yeah.
I had a marriage proposal a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember that, down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the Ed Sheeran gig. We were doing a show from the bus outside.
Yeah.
And a fella came up to us. Do you remember that? Yeah. A fella came up to us. We had the Red FM bus outside Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the Ed Sheeran gigs. It was the first time Ed Sheeran was in Cork, so I think it was 2018.
Oh yeah, the first gig, yeah.
Yeah, and he came up and said, come here, I want to do a proposal to my missus, like, literally, and he wanted to do it outside the stadium on the radio, like, so. Okay. So we went down, and like, if I scroll back far enough there, now we've a video of this up somewhere on Instagram or Facebook with Red FM, and he did the proposal to his missus, and she was like you'd be half like, this is really cruel, like, but like, you want the yes in a way, but for entertainment value, right, lads?
Imagine what would happen.
And like, I'm very happy for this couple. If your man's a City fan and he's listening now, I was delighted, buddy. I can't remember his name, but I was delighted that they got engaged. But you'd love a no for the crack.
Well, you know, that would go viral as well. Like.
Oh, fuck it. That would go unbelievable. That would be brilliant. Like, you'd love the no, but yeah, and I think we've had a couple of them over the years, I think.
There's probably been one set up at the station.
Yeah, there's been one set up as well. Like, yeah. We had another one years ago where we had you might remember this as well. We had a gig with Picture This. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
that was up in the Metropole.
It was in the Metropole, spot on.
Oh, and the guy went up on the stage.
It was a girl, wasn't it? No, it wasn't the proposal. The Metropole. It was a girl. We did a Q&A with people in the crowd, and it was a girl. They were already engaged, and she asked them would they perform at the wedding
because they were coming to play in Cork.
They were coming to play in Cork in the summer in the Marquee, but they weren't even sure at the time if the weekends would align. And they asked her to play. She asked them to play at her wedding, and they were just getting very big at the time. And like your man Ryan, the lead singer, said. He was on the spot, so he had to kind of say, "Oh yeah, we will, of course, we're up for that."
Yeah.
So we weren't really sure if it would come about, and between the jigs and the reels, anyway, we made it happen, and it was up in the church up kind of by Grana Braher, and we went up and we filmed it and everything. We did a video of the lads in the church. They only did 2 songs. No, I think "Take My Hand" and one of the other ones. Yeah. And straight out the gap because they were playing the Marquee either that night or the night before.
I remember actually.
But sure, that was a brilliant thing as well. Brilliant. That got so many views online. But I think we need a marriage proposal at the Cross next year. What do you think? If anyone's engaged, there are no lads listening.
There has been people
or anyone anyone planning to get engaged, right? All you need to do is get on to me and get on to Aaron, and we'll get you on the pitch, and we'll do a video and we'll make sure she says yes.
And I would just say we're going to do an announcement here. We're looking for such a person to come on to the pitch or something like you've won a raffle ticket or something.
There's loads of ways of doing it. Yeah, we can set it up as a prize winner, and we'd even give him a free jersey and everything, wouldn't we?
Throw it all on.
So something like that would be great, but no, it is just the basic stuff normally.
Or a surprise reunion.
Yeah.
You know, someone is home from Australia or someone like that. And
Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Like, you know, like the club would love things like that as well. So
anything like that, anything like that, lads, we are open to doing any ideas, especially back in the Premier Division now next year, because we're going to bring back, we didn't have the crossbar challenge this year now. So we're going to bring back the crossbar challenge next year. We're going to have all that at half time.
Was it you or Stevie slipped on your arse while kicking the ball?
There we go. I was waiting for that to come up. Right, I have a picture of that there, right? If I go back far enough on my Instagram.
I think Aaron should get that up on the...
That's our cover.
I think it's a picture of me jumping back up after I fell on my hole in front of the shed. I think people will remember this. It was the first game of the season, the 2018 season, because I remember it was
the first crossbar challenge.
Yeah, it was the first night we did the crossbar challenge. I'm scrolling back here now. I was like, I'd have to go way back here now. I have too many pictures on Instagram, but I'll find it. And first night of 2018 season. So first night of the crossbar challenge. So we'd obviously probably 2 contestants or whatever, but we said, listen, we'll all give it a go. So myself and Stevie G, and even a couple of the girls, the Red Patrollers, gave it a go, I think. And Troy went up all cocky out like in front of the shed. I'm going to hit it now. Like, this is going to be brilliant. Like, and it was wet. It would have been wet all day. The pitch was wet. Like, and Troy was wearing a pair of fucking Adidas or New Balance trainers or something, and not the best grip on them. And literally flat on my hole, lads.
You were trying to give a fierce willy on to
I was trying to give it socks in front of the shed, like, you know, trying to be the big man in front of the shed, but
you got a fierce crowd reaction.
I did. I can remember Moses and the whole lot of them shouting and roaring at me. Sure, look, you could only embrace that because I know half the lads in the shed anyway, but
I know, it was brilliant. I remember that one.
And especially when you've loads of buddies in the shed, so they were delighted with it just to see me fall on my arse.
And the patrollers' faces, I can't remember who was a Kate or someone like
that. It would have been Katie Malone and probably Kate O'Hurley and a few of them at the time.
Because there's a picture of them all laughing.
They loved it. I nearly have it here now, I'd say.
Yeah, I know. So a warning for anyone that is taking part in the crossbar challenge.
Beware, be careful, lads, because it's easy to happen.
Wear proper footwear. Not saying that you have to turn up in your boots, but maybe something with a bit of grip.
That's Lucas, who you know there now as well.
Who's now a League of Ireland referee, by the way.
He's now a League of Ireland referee. Lucas, he was a Red Patroller with us at the time. He's a referee at the time. So there's Lucas standing over me after I fell. There's me on the ground. I'm looking in pain and embarrassed in front of the shed. I still holding the microphone as I didn't drop the microphone in fairness. Yeah. And there's me bouncing back up triumphantly then. Hey. So we'll give Aaron those pictures later for you to see.
That's definitely the cover picture anyway.
Yeah, I put that one up as the first one of the 3 though, just to take the edge off.
A story in 3 images.
Yeah, exactly. But that was great crack, and that was the first night of the crossbar challenge, and that is hugely popular. So I think people will be delighted to get that back next season, because even this season we weren't doing it in the first division just because it was the first division basically. But it's back next year now. And
there was one when viral, Luke Dennehy's brother.
Yeah.
Stewie. That was brilliant. And the celebrations, because I was actually down to St. Anne's in that night, and he came back up because I think they used to sit down there the odd night as well. And the crowd reception was unbelievable.
Yeah.
When
crowd reception was unbelievable for Stewie. Stuart came up and we brought him on the pitch and gave him a go and little did we know that he had the talent, and he hit it first time. Wallop. And it was a great strike.
Unbelievable strike.
And the whole stadium, it was the biggest cheer of the night. I can't remember what match it was. We probably won and scored that night, but...
Oh, that's right. It was Galway.
It was a big game,
to get up in the first division at the time, weren't we?
Yeah. So that would have been probably 2 years ago, yeah. And the whole crowd played. It was pretty much nearly a sellout stadium, as Aaron says there. And the whole place jumped up, cheering on Stewie, and the video. I got so many views after it, didn't it? Jesus, yeah, people were loving it.
Brought him out to the training ground.
I remember.
Afterwards, and he hit the bar again out there in front of the team.
He did, yeah.
I think Neil Prendeville had him on and everything.
He did. He came into the studio and everything. I think, yeah. And then we actually had him back doing it for. We had the final at the end of the season then, and that season we had so many people in the final. We had too many in the final. It was the team were coming back out.
You probably needed a semi-final.
We need a semi-final. We'll plan better for that next year. But the team were coming back out and everything. And we were still going, like, so we had to kind of eventually, the winner hit it, like, but Stewie came out for the final as well, and we gave Stewie a go, obviously, because he had hit it, like, unfortunately he didn't hit it in the final, because I was kind of hoping he'd win the final, you know.
Everyone wants to be fair. Yeah.
And the prize that year for the final was a season ticket and a jersey, but a few years ago when we were doing the crossbar challenge, the prize used to be a great prize, really, because it was time in Europe, like, so we used to get the prize sponsored, and
that's right.
it was an all expenses paid trip. The winner would go with someone, be it a friend or a parent or whoever, on the team's charter flight over, stay in the hotel, get the match tickets. I think we threw in a jersey and everyone was all covered. So that was a great prize at the time. So, I mean, we can't do that prize next year because we don't know if we'll be in Europe the following season. But if things are looking good next year, we might organise something like that.
A trip to Derry or something.
Yeah, a trip to Derry maybe. Yeah, that's the closest thing to Europe, isn't it?
It's out of the country.
So, we live there. Are there any Derry fans listening, lads? Oh, God. Look, I don't know. Do they still sing what it's like? Well, they can't sing "What's It Like to Have a Queen" anymore. Have they changed that to "What's It Like to Have a King"?
King, I'd say. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
We'll see.
We
next
definitely
season.
get thrown off the podcast for this.
I think I can get away with saying more on the podcast than I can on live radio in the evenings anyway, lads.
You'll be cancelled.
But yeah, so it is coming back next season, the Crossbar Challenge, and like, there's huge demand for people to do that. So if you want to do it next season, get in touch early. You can get in touch with the club or get in touch with me.
And there's usually about 3 people do it every night, isn't it?
Yeah, we can't do more than that really, because it'll drag on too long.
About 3 shots.
They do, yes. We get them all 3 shots. And but like, if you've any, like, there's some nights, like on match nights, you have people coming up begging you, and the Red Patrollers, they used to kind of give in to people sometimes, and you might have 4, 5, 6, and then it drags on too long, and half time's over and the team is coming out. So I think it'll be 2 or 3 people next season, 3 shots each, and if you hit the bar, you're into the final, and we'll decide what the prize is closer to the season. But it'll be good crack in front of the shed next year.
Someone sponsor something. There might be something interesting. I know in other sports there'll be like, if you hit the bar or something or 3 times, you might get a big prize, because the odds on doing it is quite hard. Yeah,
if there's any companies listening, lads, and you want to sponsor a prize for that for next season, get in touch. Absolutely.
I don't know why, but I have a feeling like either Soundstore or Madden's used to do someone like that back in the day.
They did.
Was it
no, it wasn't. It was Madden's.
Was it Madden's?
It was Madden's. It was 100%.
Back a long
it was
time
100% Madden's. You're going back probably 20 years there now. It was a television. I think we had Crossbar Challenge in those days. Only one season was there. It was long before I worked in Red FM or anything.
96 probably were doing it at the time. No, I'd say, was that?
It was Oisin Langan was doing it at the time.
Oh,
that's going way back now.
Going way back.
Way back. That is going back.
He's even gone out of the game. Like,
he is, and he's done 15, 20 years in Newstock in the meantime.
Yeah.
So that's going back 20 years easily. But the prize, you're right. If you hit the bar, there was no kind of final, so it was just if you hit the bar on the night,
who can tell you
won a widescreen TV from Madden's. Yeah, so that was a nice prize. Yeah,
that was the Celtic Tiger. They were just throwing stuff away back then.
So maybe Harvey Norman's or somewhere next season want to do that.
Norman's, yeah.
Or anyone else, Soundstore or anyone like that listening, lads.
Who the sponsors? Yeah, we'd have to come up with something. Yeah. Brian and Zeus might give us an old box or something.
Yeah, he will. Yeah. So you fit a TV in a bit of packaging or something.
We'll come up with some plan. But
I thought you were going to say Brian Lennox would give us a few chips, but he can't do that anymore.
Not anymore. No. That would have been a nice prize.
That would have been a nice prize. Yeah. Get an old fish supper on the night, but maybe Dino next season for something like that.
But on match night, sometimes you'd fill in for Rory doing the LOITV as well, would you?
Yeah, so if Rory is away, I'll kind of go up and do the commentary then. I actually enjoy doing the commentary because I've done loads of commentary over the years. And then it's Alan who will do the announcing then on the night. So we have, between the 3 of us, we kind of usually have it all covered. There was one night this season when myself and Rory were both away because we were both at the Radio Awards up in Kilkenny. That was only about 6 weeks ago, but we both missed the game. So I think there was a bit of a scramble to find people that night, wasn't there?
There was some game.
We had already won the league and everything anyway, so it didn't matter too much. But it is rare there's something like that on. But it was the Radio Awards up in Kilkenny that we were both obviously going to, so we both missed that one. But the show went on regardless anyway. So,
and as a stadium announcer over the years, in terms of the matches that you've covered, what were the highlights? What were the big ones?
Oh, the big ones! Jesus, put me on the spot. Now I suppose some of the European ones were great. Legia Warsaw was a good one, even though we didn't win the game. It was a game that we could have won. Remember the penalty?
That's right. Yeah.
But
it was such a great atmosphere with the
Great
Champions League
atmosphere.
anthem and
Champions
everything.
League anthem. I remember just playing the Champions League anthem for the first time in Turner's Cross, and that was a cool moment, like, you know.
So did they give you a clip? Like, how does that work?
I think I had to get it myself.
Oh, did you have
I
to
think
get it
I did.
yourself?
Yeah.
But it's a protocol that we have to play it.
Oh, you
then?
have to play it. Yeah. So I think I had to get it myself, but you'll find that anywhere. They've actually changed the anthem slightly this year. Did you know that? Champions League anthem.
Slightly, with this new league thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of they've changed the anthem. They've kind of changed the tempo of it or something. Because I saw an article online giving out about it, and then I listened to this, and she would hardly know the difference, to be honest. Like, you know,
But because it's one of the most recognisable songs in the world. Like,
but playing that was great in the cross, and that was good that night because we had all the Polish fans were brilliant that night, and so on as well.
Huge amount of them.
It was, yeah. I suppose the league winning nights, the cup winning nights, all that kind of thing. Doing some of the events over the years, not even the stadium announcing, like hosting the events after winning leagues and winning cups and
big stages in town,
that kind of thing, and you know, the end of season awards, that kind of thing, especially when you have the trophies there. I remember the year we had the double there, like the league and cup trophy there. That was brilliant, like, and all those kind of things. And then like the thing he did a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure he enjoyed that as well, you know, the Opera House.
Those type of events are brilliant.
I've done loads of them with legends of Cork City over the years, the Dave Barrys and John Caulfields, and like he had Pat Dolan that night. So that was a great night in the Opera House a few weeks ago, like, and those things are brilliant as well. So I mean, doing all those kind of things, I think when you're a fan of the club, and you'd know this yourself, like,
you get a bit of a buzz.
You probably like doing the podcast here now as well. You get a bit of a buzz from it, you know, because you're kind of going, geez, when I was a young fella supporting the club, I'd have loved to think I was going to be able to do this, you know.
And it is amazing, isn't it? So, like, there is probably young fellas listening that maybe they're not the greatest footballers, that they mightn't get to play for the club.
Yeah,
but there's other ways.
I was ever going to play for the club anyway.
No,
I did go to the open trials with City at under 17, like, but I knew I wasn't going to get it, like, but it's worth a try anyway.
I think Aaron might have been a handy centre forward there. I don't know. He decided to go with design instead.
He would, yeah. I remember going to the trials, all right, years ago. I think it was Jerry Harris at the time and Tony Harris.
You could just turn up back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
very different to nowadays.
Very different to now. You could turn up, like, so we were playing with Riverstown at the time, so 5 or 6 of us went along, like, none of us got in anyway, like.
But at least you said you tried anyway.
But like, there was way worse players than us there now, like, but we weren't terrible, but like, we weren't the superstars either, like.
But you go around nowadays saying, I had a trial for Cork City.
I know, yeah, exactly. I got to start using that one, actually.
Yeah.
But no, there's none of that, obviously, because that was long, like, we were under 17s, so I suppose the club was only taking people on from 17 or 18 upwards. Whereas there was no academy, like, and now we have the academy. Is it from under 13s up, Aaron, is it? Yeah. Under 13s up, and sure, the academy is a brilliant thing. And if you look at all the guys who've come through it in recent years, it's unbelievable. Like, and I mean, the guys who've come through the City Academy who've played for Ireland now and who are playing for English clubs and everything, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Over the years, then, who would you say? Like, you've got to interview loads of people. I know, like, I often see on the on TV. Well, you can't watch it on TV, but on Facebook and all that. Like, who are the characters from the club that you would say you actually enjoy talking to them before or after the game or anything like that?
The biggest character has to be Pat Dolan, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I interviewed Pat Dolan on the pitch the night we won the league in 2017. I think, was it Derry? Was it a 0-0 draw with Derry? I think, yeah.
Oh, he came down to support.
He came down, and I was on the pitch. We were doing videos on the pitch, chatting to various people. So we were chatting to fans, and we were chatting to some of the players, Johnny Dunleavy and whoever else was there at the time, and loads of different players. And Pat Dolan was on the pitch as well. So I went over to Pat, and this interview was online. It was brilliant. Like, and Pat is a very intense man, you know.
Very intense, yeah.
Very intense man, and very, very passionate man. And he stares at you and he looks you in the eye and he's like, Colm, I saw videos of you recently, and I was wondering, were you the same Colm I remember who was a huge fan in 2004? And he was like, I know how much this means to you. And he was giving me all this, like, you know, and like the video was brilliant. It was doing the rounds there for a couple of years on Instagram. And like, he is such a character, and I've interviewed him loads of times over the years, but he's a very, very passionate guy. Damien Richardson was a good guy to interview as well, in a different kind of way.
Yeah, very different to Pat,
Much more toned down kind of way, but very intelligent man, very articulate man.
Very intelligent, very clever kind of guy.
Like, you didn't even know that from his programme notes years ago with the big words.
Yeah, but sure, he spent a lot of time on TV and stuff that as well, yeah.
And John Caulfield is a great guy to interview always. Like,
I
I was interviewing John there every week or twice a week for God knows how many years. And John just has incredible passion for the club, even though he's involved with a different club now.
But you could see that
you
at
could,
the
of
Opera
course.
House.
Yeah.
Anyone that was
Yeah.
at the Opera House could see that.
Yeah.
You
And
know
like-
that he's passionate.
Like John Caulfield you won't get a bigger Cork City legend, you know. I mean, he's just got that passion for the club, and like sometimes after games he'd be so riled up, he'd be going into a rant, and you could see sometimes he's trying to hold himself back from going into a rant and he's about to explode. But he's a great guy to interview. And then I mean, you have the obvious ones then over the years, like the guys like Dave Barry and these kind of guys are brilliant, great stories, you know. And any of those legends from those eras, like but I think the one that stands out really has to be Pat Dolan.
Pat Dolan,
yeah, without a doubt. And I think anyone would say that. I mean, because he's just different to everyone else, you know. He's just got this very unique personality, this very unique persona about him. You saw that the other night in the Opera House a couple of weeks ago. He just comes on and he's in his own world, Pat is, like, you know. And it's a world I'd like to live in because it seems like a magical world. But like he's just passionate about everything he says, and just the way he looks at you, he's so intense. And you're nearly afraid to say I did butt in, and you don't know what to say. And yeah, he's a great character, brilliant.
But like outside of the club, who's probably the most famous person you've interviewed?
Someone asked me this only recently.
Who would you think yourself?
Yeah,
like?
and I gave an answer, and I probably stand by it. I think my favourite, he must be up there as one of the most famous, is Rod Stewart.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
A big football fan as well.
Big football fan. So I interviewed him in the Four Seasons in Dublin a couple of years ago.
Ahead of his concert in Cork.
Ahead of the Páirc Queeve one. He was in the Marquee last year, and I was about ahead of the Páirc Queeve one, which is about 2018 or 19, I think. It was 2019, I think.
Yeah.
So that's 5 years ago. And he was doing promo for the gig. So
that's right, yeah.
They had a room rented out. This is kind of how it works. They will rent out a room in a hotel or something, and
they bring a lot of people in.
They'll invite a few different people then to have slots from different radio stations. So I remember KC was over 96 FM at the time, so he was in just before or after me, and then I was in, and I think you were supposed to have about 20 minutes with Rod Stewart or whatever. But I walked in and Rod Stewart was kicking a football around the room. Such a lovely, natural, down-to-earth guy. He was kicking a football around the room. He's a huge Celtic fan, as you know.
Yeah.
And
in one of his songs as well, actually. Yeah.
Sat down chatting to him anyway. And he was all chatty. He was like, I was wearing an old Zara blazer at the time. He was on about, where'd you get that Zara? He was like, oh, I love the Zara gear, all that kind of thing. And then he went off chatting about everything. Like, you know, like he wasn't just chatting about like promoting the gig and promoting his music and so on. He was chatting about football. He was chatting about, I think I was telling him about Cork City at one stage.
Yeah.
He was chatting about, he was giving great stories from years ago that you could never broadcast on the radio, or I couldn't say here kind of thing, from himself and the lads back in the day in the 60s, what they used to be getting up to and things. And a PR girl from Aiken actually came into the room, and they kind of say, time to wrap things up now, you know.
Yeah.
And usually the interviewee or the artist is only happy to wrap it up and get on to the next fella, because they want to get out of here. Like, and but Rod was like, no, I'm having a lovely chat with this gentleman. He's travelled a long way. We'll take another few minutes. So I was like, you know, I'd never seen anyone do that before. So he's a huge one, definitely.
And he did a lovely tribute at that concert to Liam Miller at the time, actually, which is obviously a huge connection between Celtic and Cork City.
He did,
you know, big picture of him up on the screen.
Yeah, he did a huge one that night. I remember that. That was brilliant. And that would have only been, it was probably 6-7 months previous. We had the Liam Miller game in Páirc Queeve as well.
After
like, you know,
that, I'd say, was it the same? Was it the same?
I think,
was it 2018 or 29?
I think
so it was just before that.
I think it was just before that.
He was
so
at the concert in 2019.
7-8 months before that, like, you know.
Yeah. So he probably saw stuff about it.
He would have, of course, because that was a huge occasion as well.
Yeah.
I was doing the announcing for that actually down in Páirc Queeve for that game, and that was a huge one. Like, and
what did you do the stadium announcing?
I did the stadium announcing for that. Yeah, that was 50,000 people there. That was a great one to do.
And the first soccer match to be played.
There. Yeah. Hopefully more to come.
So you'll always be remembered for that.
Yeah. Hopefully more to come. But actually that night as well, another lovely fella that I interviewed was Gary Neville.
Yeah.
And like, I'm a United fan as well. Same as yourself, Steve.
Yeah. The secret's out now.
Yeah. As Trevor Welch said on stage at the Opera House, City first and United second then, like, but we'll try and get the games for both of them. Actually, I saw you were in Old Trafford recently as well last week. For your sins, I haven't been there yet this season. I'll wait and see how things go for a while. But anyway, Gary Neville that day. So you know, you're outside, you're down under the stand after, and you're trying to get a few words with a couple of the lads, like, and Trafford just walk past you, no interest, you know, at that level, you know. Whereas like the Irish lads will all talk to you mostly, like, but at the United level, no, like, and like a couple of fellas just ignored you and things, like, even to be honest, like even Cork fellas like I don't think I even asked Roy Keane because you know the answer you'll get there. Dennis Irwin had no interest in doing it. And Gary Neville is in the media game, obviously.
He knows what it's like.
He works full time for Sky now.
Yeah.
And he has the overlap.
He has so many different things. I don't know where he gets the time, but
unbelievable. Gary came straight over talking and he was chatting for probably 10 minutes. Great chat with him and lovely, really nice guy. And you know what? That's a big thing then as a United fan as well. I was delighted to interview Gary Neville. And I was delighted that it turned out he was a nice fella and not an asshole kind of thing.
He obviously remembered Liam Graham and him and all that.
He spoke in glowing tributes about Liam Miller and he was saying how happy he was to be there, what a lovely occasion it was. He spoke very well of the stadium, Páirc Uí Chaoimh, of Cork.
Was it him that said the pitch was huge? There was one of, or was it Giggsy or someone? It was somebody.
I can't remember who said. I remember someone said that. I can't remember. I'd say a lot of them thought the pitch was huge because and that was even with a bit of it blocked off because the goals were taken in. But Gary Neville was sound. Yeah, I remember that. And that was a great day as well. I'm sure, between that and Rod Stewart's tribute to Liam Miller down there, they were both fantastic. You know.
Did you ever get the call up from the FAI to go up to the Aviva to do any announcement? No?
I'd actually go up there happily. No,
so if they're listening,
no, I've done quite a few of the under 21 games for them at the Cross. All right,
yeah.
And they did ask me to the Women's International down in
Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well.
Páirc Uí Chaoimh, but Rory ended up doing it because it was a 6:00 kickoff.
And you were on,
and I'm on the radio till 7, so I'd have had to take a day off to do it, and I just wasn't doing that. So, no, I haven't got the big one for the Aviva yet, but if the lads are stuck there for any of the internationals next year and the price is right, give me a shout, lads.
Yeah. So your ultimate game. So what would the ultimate game to I'm guessing, you tell me, I have it in my head, the ultimate game that you'd love to be the stadium announcer for?
Oh, I'd like to be the stadium announcer in Old Trafford for something like the Manchester Derby or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be unreal, or like an FA Cup final, or anything like that. Or like I'd love to do like commentaries on the Premier League, like with Sky Sports or something. But
so would you listen to other commentators, or would you go to stadiums and be listening to what they're saying and pick up some tips? And
you would, I suppose. Yeah, and you'd even do it subconsciously sometimes. You know.
And you'd probably be critical sometimes.
You would, you'd often say, "Geez, your man is useless there." And I'm sure, lads, there's loads of people in Turner's Cross say me and Rory and all the lads are absolutely shite, and would they ever shut up? And that's grand too. And
they say the same about us in the podcast.
Well used to that. Well used to that. Water off a duck's back. But in fact, you kind of like it a little bit. But but no, you would, you'd be kind of, you'd be, and even like it's the same when you're listening to the radio, you'd be going, "Geez, your man is brilliant," or "Your one is brilliant," and then you'd be going,
but you're always learning, I suppose.
You are, and you have to be, because if you get complacent, there's always another fella to take your gig, you know what I mean.
But that's the thing, there's always a new generation coming.
There is. It's the same. It's like football.
In any business. In any business, there is, someone else. So there's a new star in the making somewhere. And I'm sure there'll be some kids. And did anybody ever ask you to come on work experience or anything like that to go out to the stadium on the night time or anything
we actually had a young lad recently, a couple of weeks ago, and I think he was going to be doing a couple of the women's games, the announcing.
Oh, very good.
He's actually can't remember his name now, but Gerald, lovely fella, and he's doing the radio course out in CSN, I think.
Brilliant.
And it was Erica got on to me and could he shadow me for one or two of the games doing the announcing and things. So I went through everything with him. Obviously there's a lot more to the men's games there because there's bigger crowds and there's more stuff going on, but the women's games are a nice way to blend him into it. So you never know. He might be doing it in a couple of years. You never know.
Watch your back,
watch my back, Gerald, if you're listening, steady on, buddy.
No, you might move on to the Aviva or Old Trafford or Wembley.
Exactly.
The Bernabeu or somewhere. Well, you'll have to learn the Spanish.
I'll have to learn a bit of Spanish, I think of a few words, but not enough for that.
I suppose it is amazing how football will, obviously combining the love of football and the media leads you down different roads.
It does, it really does. I think sporting things can open a lot of opportunities for you like that, you know. And you build a lot of connections through that kind of thing as well. And you get to know the amount of people, I'm sure you're the same, lads, the amount of people in different walks of life and different walks of business in Cork that you'd have met through Cork City is incredible, you know.
It is.
And you build connections like that and you build loads of friendships like that as well. I have buddies there who I kind of started hanging around at City games with when I was kind of 17, 18.
Yeah.
And
you're still friends.
I'm still great friends with them. I might still meet up with them. We go for a pint from time to time, or you might go for a weekend away in London or something. You know, and that's 20 years later, kind of thing. So it's great. Like, and I mean, any people listening now, I'm sure young fellas coming in, like, and they're making new friends at the cross, like. They're friends you might have for life, like, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I know it is. It's great to see. And I suppose there's exciting times ahead now. Like going back into the Premier Division. And I suppose we missed out this year, but you're hoping it's going to build momentum. But there seemed to be a massive buzz around the Premier Division this year.
It's incredible. Like, and I even saw the figures released there, didn't you, during the week for the viewers in RT for the games, the Shells game, the Rovers game the other night. I think it was the biggest viewership ever for a League of Ireland game or something like that. It was 400 something thousand.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. And the crowds at the games, like, it's the buzz around it is just it's not like when we were growing up, you know. When we were growing up, it wasn't fashionable to support League of Ireland, and even 10 years ago it wasn't.
Kind of hipster before hipster was a thing.
It was, yeah. It was definitely like, whereas now, like, kids want to go to the games, and they're saying to their dads, like, come on, I want to go down to City, you know. I think we live a lot of that now. You could even see it, like, this season, like, the crowds were quite good, even though we were in the first division.
Yeah, for a first division club, we're very strong.
And you'd imagine that'll shoot up next year, and you'd hope we'll be strong next year. Like, we've Shawnee and Rory Keating have come in. I'm sure there's a lot more to come in, hopefully. And like, it is going to be tough next year, because you're looking at the standard there as well. Like,
the standard is really good, yeah.
Like, look at St. Pat's are going to be very good under Stephen Kenny next year.
Probably the favourites, I
think they'll be the favourites. Like, I think if Kenny had took over a few weeks earlier this year, they might have even won it. They were that close.
Rovers will have European money as well.
Rovers will have a fortune from European money. Shells will give it a good lash again. I mean, they'll do well again. Derry will be thereabouts again. Like, and I mean, even look at the newly promoted teams this year. Galway and Waterford are looking all right, you know. So it will be tough next year, but you kind of hope. Nobody's expecting us to win the league next year, I think, but you'd love if we could just kind of push into the top half of the table and even have a bit of a run at Europe. Even like Galway did this year, if you don't get it in the end, just be thereabouts. Like, I think nobody wants a relegation battle again next year, and I think as long as we're doing something and kind of winning a few games here and there, the crowds will be out and the buzz will be brilliant around the place. Yeah,
and I'd imagine if the crowds stick with us, that's going to help as well, because you know, the players feed off it.
They do, absolutely, yeah.
And then the club survives off it and actually can thrive off it as well, and move on and kick forward.
It's a continuing circle, isn't it?
Everyone needs everyone. We need the fans.
Yeah,
I know the fans need the team winning, but
the more fans that are there, the more chance of the team winning, and
get better players and stuff like that.
It is, it's a cycle that goes around. But I think the buzz around the league is great at the moment. I mean, like, I saw last year in the first division, we were all kind of going, Jesus, what are we doing here, when you're playing the likes of Athlone and Wexford and UCD and these teams every week. But like, we're back up. We did it quite easily in the end. And like, I mean, playing the likes, so you see the teams that are flying there next season, having the Shamrock Rovers, the Shelburnes, the Bows, the St. Pat's down. Like, there'll be cracking atmospheres for them, because they're going to bring big away supports down, which we didn't have this year. And you will have the rivalry and the banter and the crack and everything as well, like, you know.
Yeah, like, and even there, like, in the last week, from a global perspective, the amount of attention on the league with Damien Duff winning.
Yeah. See the clip last night of Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer talking about it,
And the New York Times covered it as well.
They're brilliant,
and then obviously he was kind of in touch with Jose
Mourinho. Yeah, Mourinho sent them a video message, didn't he? And then you saw that he was ringing him after and he didn't answer. Like,
he's probably giving out to the Turkish media.
Mourinho was like, "This is Duff. No, he's locked. He's after winning. I can't be answering that. He'll be on to me all night." Like,
so hopefully we get involved in a bit of that, and the fact that we have, you know, two superstars up front. You know, you know, the League of Ireland brought out a thing this week. The amount of money it's worth to the country. And who's one of the star players in it is Shawnee.
Yeah.
You know, like, they know like, we have an Irish international in our squad. Like.
It's incredible. Like, I mean, getting Shawnee back is like, obviously getting Rory Keating back is fantastic, but I think getting Shawnee back is another level altogether. I don't think anybody expected that. Yeah. And certainly to expect, and I think it was a masterstroke getting them back. Yeah. Kind of with a few games left in last season as well, because it's given them the time to bed in now.
Oh yeah.
They've got goals. Shawnee's got a nice few goals, like, you know.
Yeah.
And they're hitting the ground running next season. It's not like next season it's taking him a few goals and he hasn't scored in a few games and you're going, Jesus, when is he going to start scoring for City again? They've already started scoring now, so they're ready to go for next season, and it's just bringing a few more guys now and like just drive it on for next year, really, because I think I am really looking forward to next season. I think it'll be brilliant.
So we usually kind of wrap up with one or two questions.
Go on.
Who's your favourite ever City player?
Favourite ever City player?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Probably John Caulfield.
Yeah.
But then, like, there was, like, Derek Holland was a big favourite for a while for that cup final goal as well.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't it always depend on your age, I suppose, at the time?
And then Georgie would have been a big one as well, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
So those three...
They would be up there.
They'd be up there. And if I had to edge it for one of the three, I'd probably say John Caulfield, just because of the managing thing as well.
Yeah.
Do you know?
'Cause he came back and won.
Yeah.
Brought the glory back and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Who was the best player you saw play at Turner's Cross outside of?
Outside of City, Jesus.
Yeah, like you've been stadium announcer. Who's kind of like whoa, like
wow, outside of City. Jeez, that's a tough question. I'd have to. You have to put me on the spot. Like if you said for City, I mean, talent wise, you're saying the likes of Georgie, Shawnee Maguire, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been loads. There's been loads over the years, but outside of City,
it's often hard to remember. I suppose
it is like Jesus. Like
there's actually a lot of famous names. Actually,
there is. Tony Polster was a great one years ago.
I remember him.
Do you remember him? He got 2 goals in the Intertoto Cup. He was playing for FC Cologne, spot on. In the Intertoto Cup, he got 2 goals against City. He was a big one. He was one of the best I've seen there. But there's probably even better. Like
he was up front for Austria and stuff. A great.
I wasn't at the Bayern Munich game in 1991. I'd have been very young.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we probably would have been one of them.
Yeah.
But then there's probably guys who've been over in pre-season friendlies with big clubs and things as well that you wouldn't even think of, like, you know.
Yeah. There has been, like, I mean, I think Nicholas Anelka played for West Brom there a few years
ago. He did, yeah.
No, he was after his prime, like.
JJ Okocha was there with Bolton.
Yeah.
Celtic came over years ago, but they didn't bring Larson. Do you remember that? There was a big thing.
Yeah.
It was sold out. Everyone wanted to see Larson. Celtic were big at the time. Martin O'Neill was the manager. And Larson was the only guy not playing, really. Neil Lennon and Chris Sutton and all these guys were playing, but Larson wasn't. So I couldn't give you a definitive answer to that, Steve, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I
stick to the City, lads.
I might come back to you, like, but
it's one to think for the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, look, we're looking forward to, I suppose, getting you back into the Premier Division next year as a stadium announcer of the Premier Division. Yeah,
looking forward to it. Yeah,
and we all know how to get in touch. So if you have, remember the special requests. So we're looking for proposals.
Yeah.
Or
reunions,
something quirky anyway.
Anything that we can have a bit of fun with on the pitch, and have a bit of a laugh with the crowd with. And crossbar challenge is back next year, as we said as well. So we'll anyone who wants to do that, get in touch with me on Instagram or give the club an email or something, and we'll sort it out. We get you on it first.
Or even if you've heard of something unusual at other stadiums around the world that you think we could do.
Yeah, if there's anything cool we could do before the game or something as well, like any suggestions.
Before the game off and needs something else.
Yeah, jazz things up. And I mean, if there's any kind of tunes people want to hear, now I know I don't think I'll be allowed to change the team walkout music. Yeah. And that's kind of set in stone.
Yeah. Well, just kind of 2 songs there, like, isn't it?
There is Frank and Walters in, but the team to walk out, that's kind of set in stone. So I have no say on that. But anything else you'd like to hear in the build-up or anything, I know there's a lot of ones that people like, the Carnival Safaris and these kind of ones. Yeah. We'll try and sort that out for next season as well. So let us know.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thanks a million for coming in, Colm.
No worries, lads. Thanks for having me, and drive on for next year, I suppose.
Yeah, you forget how long he's been involved in the club. He's kind of, I know he was in and out, wasn't he?
Yeah, but even from the whole supporting before having any involvement, I think that's important as well. You know,
he's nearly 30 years.
You can get involved and sort of become involved in Cork. Like, you can start working or doing something around the club, and you kind of get into the club that way. But Colm was a supporter long before that, so it's not that someone wouldn't be a genuine supporter, but like, you can tell he really is.
He is. Yeah. He's a genuine fan of the club. And you can see he's excited about next season as well.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we all are. I think we're trying to downplay it a little bit. But look, everyone's excited. We're back where we want to be.
And we mentioned there about the league, and, congrats to Shelbourne and, in the league.
No comment.
But, like, there is a buzz around the place. Like,
look, there's the interest. Colm spoke about it there. The viewership on RT that night, like,
a lot more people that I would usually never hear talk about League of Ireland are talking to me about League of Ireland.
Front page on newspapers and everything.
So that tells me there's something there. Like,
we've been banging this drum. We, as in League of Ireland supporters, have been banging this drum for 10 years that we have an incredible product here and an incredible thing that people want to be a part of. And Colm spoke about it there as well, about how at times it was probably uncool to support the League of Ireland, whereas now people want to go watch Cork City every weekend. They want to go to their club in Dublin, whoever it is, and poor souls up there. But no, look, it's brilliant, and I think us being back up there in the mix next year bodes well for us. I think it bodes well for the league. I think the league are probably just as excited about us getting promoted.
Big club, like,
we bring drama, we bring chaos, we bring massive crowds, which the League of Ireland wants and has,
and the whole red thing and the arrogance of Cork, and like the rest of the country always think that, like, about us down
everyone
here, like.
Gets hung up on the stuff last year about the Guard of Honour and the champagne and stuff like that. You still see fans of other clubs on Twitter referencing it and stuff like that. But like, that's not going to change. That's
Yeah.
what Cork City is. Like,
Yeah.
and I think not that we're going to be going out of our way to cause trouble or talking points or anything like that, but like, it's kind of our thing. It's what we bring to the league, and it's what we will continue to bring to the league, because the only people we care about in Cork and Cork City is us and Cork City, and that's the way we are. That's the way
And
we
you
will
only
be.
have to listen to the likes of Rory, Shawnee, Greg, all of them on the podcast this year, like, who have played with other clubs.
Yeah.
But they said there's something magic about Turner's Cross and the fans.
And when you're down here, it's very much a case of you're either with us or you're against us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the Cork City thing. It's how it's always been. It's how it's going to be next year. And yeah, I can't wait to have big away crowds down at Turner's Cross next year, and the hostile atmosphere. Have that back.
The league probably has something that maybe it was lacking for years. A couple of characters that are well known. If you think about like Damien Duff being manager, Shelbourne, Stephen Kenny, who was obviously just after finishing with the Irish gig. You know, you have characters that are known by the public.
You have people who obviously like now know those two lads who weren't necessarily League of Ireland fans, but will have an eye on it. You've also got, you know, the likes of them. There's been a couple of times this year where Damien Duff, Stephen Bradley have got themselves in trouble.
Yeah.
For comments in the media. And as much as I don't want Tim to be doing it and causing trouble, like, but you need that. Do you know what I mean?
You do, yeah.
You need eyeball, like that gets people talking, that gets people wanting to see what happens next. You need that to an extent. Tim, funnily enough, I had lads from Tim's previous clubs onto me being like, oh Jesus, he'll get you in trouble now, he'll say a few things. He was fine all year. He didn't say a word really.
He's waiting until next season.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. This will come back to haunt me now, but and I said it to him as well. I was like, I was warned about you, but you've actually... I think there was one mid-season, remember John Caulfield said something about...
Right, yeah.
John Caulfield said... I don't remember what he said, but Tim straight away was on it in the next press conference. But
it was about the transfer.
The transfer or the wages, wasn't it? Yeah.
John made, I think, a comment about when we were after buying the two lads.
And I don't know if people were at the live pod at the Opera House, they'll remember this, but I can't remember... Someone said something when Tim was on stage with us at the end about budgets, and Tim straight away looked out to the crowd and was like, where's John? Is John still here?
He did, yeah.
So I think Tim will be great fun next year. Yeah, I can't wait.
Definitely. And even the likes of having John back in the stadium with Galway, like, and stuff like that. There's loads of storylines.
Yeah, like, and obviously the cup finals this weekend, a lot of people are talking about the cup final, and think back to the cup finals we had and the rivalry between not just John Caulfield and Stephen Kenny, but I think Cork City and Stephen Kenny. Yeah. And Cork City fans and Stephen Kenny. And I know we all kind of had to row in behind him for a couple of years while he was the Ireland boss, but he's not the Ireland boss anymore. So he's back to someone that, not as an enemy to Cork City, but as a rival to Cork City. So
we'd be looking for...
There's that storyline next year as well.
Time they'll be down for a few matches, will he'll come down?
You'd imagine so, yeah.
I didn't know that because he seems to attend a lot of Premier Division games.
He does, and I know he was in Cork for the Women's International at Park Equive.
Okay.
So if we get him to turn his cross a couple of times next year, it'll be brilliant, I hope. I'd imagine he will.
He probably will.
Stephen Kenny came down a few times when he was Ireland manager. But yeah, look, there's those kind of narratives next year, which not only the club needs from a promotional point of view and a getting people interested point of view, but the league needs it. And I think, as I said, I know the league are just as excited to have Cork City back again
they're delighted to have one,
than we are.
They need ourselves in Derry from both opposite ends of the country as well. You can't have a league full of Dublin clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work, like.
Exactly, and just from an optics point of view.
Yeah, and then they
it's
have
a big crowd, a big stadium
Sligo as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and then Waterford are there as well. It's perfect because you're spreading the geographic kind of movement of the league. You know,
like as handy as the Dublin clubs are for the FAI in the league, because of course they're handy. They're in the capital, that's fine. But us, Galway, Sligo, Derry, probably Mayo when they come into the league, the likes of Finn Harps if they were up there, like the league needs those clubs as well, because you need the spread.
It'll be interesting to see
Waterford.
who out of the two are in the playoff final. So Bray and Drogheda.
Yeah,
you probably fancy Drogheda, would you, to stay up, like?
Yeah, but it's a tricky one. Bray have an extra week off, which can benefit them or maybe not benefit them, because Drogheda have the cup final against Derry this weekend. I think Derry will win the cup final, but
I think Derry will.
But if they don't,
God, if Derry don't win the cup final, they're this was their time to win the league.
They finished
after
fourth.
Yeah,
I can't.
And maybe that will affect them. It could be Drogheda's time.
See, there's two ways looking at it. It can affect them or it could spur them on.
Yeah,
and if it does affect them, look, if Drogheda go on to win the cup, with the best will in the world, without even intending that, they could overdo the celebrations and hinder themselves for the playoff night. Like, there's so many ways this can play out.
So what happens in terms of Europe then? So if Derry beat Drogheda, is there another space for fifth? No, or is there only 4 goes through anyway?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Is there? There's definitely obviously one Champions League space, which is obviously Shelbourne. Is it 3 Conference League?
I think
There's no Europa League anymore,
it's
isn't it?
2 Conference League, and the 4th only becomes available if
There's something else. Yeah.
if the
Because I'm trying to
team
remember.
that win the cup are already in a I'm actually not 100% sure.
Because there is a place for
To
the
be
cup.
honest, now we haven't had to think about it for a while, so I don't really know.
Was there 4 teams in Europe this year? I think there was.
Derry, Pats,
Derry, Pats.
Shells, and Rovers, yeah.
Yeah. So there was 4. So
And who won the cup last year?
Pats, wasn't it? Was it Pats? God, my memory's bad.
Yeah.
I think it was Pats won it last year.
Yeah, it was
And
Pats,
they were favourites to win the league, remember? Because then obviously they got
I
Keats.
can't even remember. Last year seems
Yeah,
a lot longer than a year ago. I remember
Yeah.
it was the first cup final in years, I'd say 10
Yeah.
years, that I hadn't gone to. I was too depressed after the playoff 2 days before. I actually woke up that morning, I was like, no, I'm not watching football.
In terms of next season, we've kind of, this week we haven't really signed anyone, but we've said farewell to a few.
Yeah, we had a couple of departures this week, yeah. 6 players, so Brad Wade, Jack Doherty, Cian Murphy, Cian Bargery, John O'Donovan and Aidan Dowling.
Was it a case that their contracts were just up, is it?
Yeah, everyone's contract was up, yeah. Obviously I don't know what goes into negotiations or whatever, but I think the 2 players, obviously Jack and Brad were outstanding for us this year.
Yeah.
I think it was 21 clean sheets in all competition for Brad.
Brad comes as a surprise, I suppose, to a lot of people.
Yeah, look, none of us knew who he was beforehand.
Yeah.
Even coming as a surprise, but as a player, coming to the club, we didn't know him, but leaving.
He'd be snapped up by somebody, I
Yeah,
said.
look, he's a great goalkeeper.
And we had him on briefly on one of the episodes of the podcast earlier in the season as well.
Jack obviously had a brilliant start as well. I think the 2 lads, the 2 ones, well, 3 I suppose, ex-academy players in John and Bagsy and Murph. John has been on the scene the last 2 years or so in the first team, has done well for us, so sad to see him go, but obviously the 2 lads as well, Murph and Bagsy, like they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
They've been through a lot with the club, and I think was it 2015 Cian Murphy joined? 2016 maybe?
So going back
Bagsy's
that
around
far.
the same, yeah. So yeah, look, sad to see the 2 of those players leave as well.
And I mean, for the likes of you guys that you're in the club every day, like, you know, it must be sad to see some of the lads that come up through the ranks sometimes. There's probably a different feeling.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a strange one, really, like, because a lot of players, I think what I've learned the last couple of years is from working in football, a lot of players sort of come and go anyway. There's some players you might see for a year or 2.
Yeah.
But there are players then who've been there so long that you kind of forget they can end up leaving. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was joking with Bagsy the other day about it. Like, you would have seen over the last couple of years, Bagsy's our go-to for a photo shoot. Kit launch, anything at all, Bagsy gets the text.
And he's had some great moments this season, in fairness to him.
He's had a few great moments over the last couple of years. I think he was one of our better players, probably one of the only players who had a good performance in that playoff last year.
Yeah.
A couple of chances he could have, if he had put away, things would have been different. But I suppose he was getting himself in those positions anyway, which is a good thing. But I was joking with him. I was like, I'll have to find a new test subject from all of it, or go-to for photo shoots. Yeah, I need a new model. But yeah, look, for all of the lads are leaving, we wish the absolute best of luck,
lads.
to Aidan as well. Aidan Dowling, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Best of luck wherever they end up next. We'll all be watching. We'll all be wishing them the very best.
Yeah, because actually, I see there must have been City fans went over. It was a Tunde was playing a match over in England somewhere, and there was a Cork City flag.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, they didn't go over. So Leamington, I actually know the guy who runs their socials, Max. He's got family from Carrigaline.
Oh, is that what it is?
And they're Cork City fans, so they had, like, I think the Breaks, I think, is like Leamington's nickname. So they have a Leamington and a Cork City flag.
I know, I saw it on Twitter or something.
I think he tagged me in it. He usually tags me in those, or tags the club anyway. I saw that, that flag makes an appearance the odd time, all right. But I'd say for Tunde playing, he probably saw that at the corner of his eye, being like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Where are the cameras, sort of thing? Like, who's taking the piss here? But
I wonder, is there fans actually, no, do you know, because we just do have such a long off season, is there fans of the club go to watch any former player playing in other leagues, like if maybe they have relatives living someplace, and
Possibly,
it'd be nice if someone messaged us in saying, we have seen somebody playing in some league or whatever.
Or even if it's been unintentional, if you've ended up at a match and a fella's on the pitch, like, hey, I saw him play for Cork City, or even against Cork City. That's a cool one, actually. Yeah, if that is the case and it's happened to you, let us know.
Yeah. I see one of our former players, Owen O'Connell, joined the young lads last week at the training session before their Liverpool game.
Yeah, the 13s were in Liverpool. They played against Liverpool and Preston. Yeah. And Owen is, I think it was 2017 he was with us.
He was, yeah.
Was it? No.
Was 2016 or 2017? Oh,
it wasn't 17.
No, because Ryan Delaney was playing the following season.
Ryan Delaney was there. Or was it 16 or was it 15? It was one of the. It was either 15 or 16.
He was on loan from Celtic, wasn't he?
Yeah, on loan over from Celtic. He's at Wrexham now. Yeah,
yeah. He's a regular fixture, and I think in the Wrexham.
He is, yeah. And Wrexham's not 100 miles away from Liverpool, so he's probably living in Liverpool or near enough anyway. So, they got a picture with a couple of our lads. Brilliant to see him there, showing his support.
Yeah. So obviously, Colm said there that I was at Old Trafford, which I was last. When was it? Wednesday for League Cup game, and there I'm getting on the flight. Next thing I see load of Cork City tracksuits around, so I'm what's going on here? Next thing I see Liam. So all the that was their first outing. The new squad.
They're the newest team to join us.
They're the newest team. So the whole lot of them and some family and friends were going over there as well. It was lovely to see, and I know they had a bit of a tough fixture against Liverpool, but you'd expect that. I think they played well in the first half.
I think we were 2-1 up. Yeah, I think it finished 4-2 or 5-2
something like that. Whereas they drew 4-4 with Preston, which was very good.
Yeah, and I think, funnily enough, while you were away and they were away, the comedy night was on, and it was actually the goalkeeper for the 13s, and one of the goalkeepers, Louis Ryan, is actually Andrew's nephew, so he was away for that.
Yeah, he was playing, he got a game. Yeah.
So we were actually backstage while I think one of the other comedians was on, could have been Shane Todd or someone, and Andrew was there talking to me, and I was showing him the pictures that the lads have been putting in the group chat of the trip. It's just funny, like, there's connections, Cork City connections everywhere.
But it was fantastic to see just to see all the young lads in the club tracksuit getting on the plane together. They went on last, but it just looked impressive.
It does look really good. I actually went with which team was it? I think it was the 17s. We went to where was it? Coventry 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and a bit like that, we actually met Ricardo Dalanga was at Coventry at the time. He recently left us. He came over. Danny Murphy was there. He came over. Nicky Byrne from Westlife was on our flight randomly enough and was talking to a few of us. Just he spotted the Cork City stuff.
Yeah.
Former goalkeeper for Cove as well. Random. So that's what we were kind of talking about. Yeah. But it looks really good. It's I think from the academy's point of view, and for people who see it, it's really impressive to see the organisation of it. Like Erica obviously in the office does all the work organising that.
I had a couple of students come off to me and they says, "Oh, you with Cork City flying over there?" I said, "No, that's the academy."
I just do the podcast.
I'm not involved in football at all. And they were like, "Oh, we were trying to figure out what it was," because they just happened to be on the same flight as well. But
no, it looks brilliant, and I think it highlights as well the work that Liam is doing and all the coaches to go on those trips and to the experiences that those players get. It's brilliant for them.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, and I'm sure there's plenty more trips organised over the next while. They're all kind of wrapping up for their end of seasons now as well. So
yeah, it's coming to that time of the year
with
now.
The actual men's team and the women's team, they're all the same kind of. They're all
the football calendar, as they say.
Summer football.
I think they're trying to bring like the local leagues in line with that over the next couple of years. There was some FAI pathway plan or something like that.
Yeah, that'll take a bit of organisation.
It does. I think there's a bit of pushback on it, but I think it makes sense.
Similar to the GA then.
Yeah.
The GA is all around that time as well.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. But look, I suppose the big thing is get your tickets for the end of season celebration next week.
Yeah, come and see us all at the Clayton. Come and see the Frank and Walters. That's going to be great crack.
Yeah. Sing along to the song like after all. And
yeah, that song that we don't hear that too often, do we?
I think it's
not on this podcast.
I think it's time nearly to play it, I think.
It's probably playing now as we start to say goodbye, as always. But look, again, thanks for listening. If you're not following us on Spotify or whatever, make sure you are. Turn on the notifications and all that. Leave us a rating.
Yeah, we have some interesting guests coming up.
We do. Yeah, we have a few good names lined up actually. So we've a busy few coming up. So
keep listening.
We'll see you in the next one.
Talk to you then.